Welcome back, everybody. All right, so let's take a look at what we can do here. Now, there are tons of different options, and if you've ever taken any of the courses at Mammoth Interactive, we tend to plug divergent thinking, rapid prototyping, and so that means you can make a whole bunch of different options here. Now, if you have all of these selected, you can simply push F for face, and that will make it in there, face in there. You can push E to extrude and you can scale it in like so. Now, if I was putting this into a game, this would actually not be so bad because when you zoom out, you get the idea that this is some kind of bump there. Although, not everyone's going to be happy with that. Some people are going to want like a circle in there. And if you look at, traditional shields, at least the ones you kind of see in the movies too, they have some kind of bump there. Now, let's just go ahead and undo all that here. Let's push 7 on our numpad and let's go to create and add in a UV sphere. Now, don't click anything once you've added it in. And when you add it in, you want to make sure that the vertices here at the bottom are the exact same number as your circle. In this case, they're both 32, and I kept it that way for a reason. Now we can go and move out here, and I'm just going to move the sphere kind of like this, and I'm going to move it up, and I'm going to move it in, and let's just zoom in here. Now, you're probably thinking, well, why can't I just do this? I mean, it looks fine. Technically, there's a little bit of overlap, but who really cares? Now, I have seen some AAA games with a huge budget, like millions of dollars, do exactly this. So if you want to do this, you're more than welcome to. I've definitely seen it. However, there is a better way to do that. And generally, the better modeling and the better modelers make everything one object. Okay, so let's just take a look at this here. And I'm just going to move it up just so that it meets the vertices here. Okay, this is going to become really important in just a second. And I'm going to move this whole sphere up. And we can move it up as far as we want. And let's just go ahead and push 1. Okay, we can select a simple vertices. Let's push B to box select, and what we're going to do is we're just going to simply get rid of half the sphere. Now make sure you are in vertices select here. Remember, there's edge select and face select, but we simply want vertices select. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take this vertice here, and we're simply going to delete it here. Push B to box select again, and we're going to simply go ahead and delete said vertices here. You can see there's a few vertices left over, and then I'm just going to delete it here. Now, guess what? We now have an entire half circle here. Okay, and I'm going to push 1, 3, and one of these numbers does that here, but let's just go and push 3 here. Push B to box select and shift, of course, and B to box select, B to box select. There we go. And we might have to just simply go and select that here. Now, if you go ahead and you push select face, you can. It's a little bit easier to do than selecting the small vertices here, and it actually looks kind of cool. One thing I've always liked about modeling is the stuff that we're doing in here just looks really, really cool. And when you add in these faces, it just looks cooler. Now, I should point out why it looks cooler. Generally, the more detail that you put in there, the cooler it looks, and having that small little square makes it more detailed. Okay, so that's a little lesson. If you add in lines, it looks more detailed. Now, of course, you just can't add in any lines, but this is a good example of why it looks better. Okay, so I'm just going to click all of these here. Okay, there we go. Now everything should be selected. Okay, let's push 1 again, and let's move this down. Okay, so we need to move that all down. And here, you can go to 1 and move down. All right, now this might take a little bit of time, but you can see how everything lines up just perfectly here. Now, actually, I'm just going to move it up like this. Okay, now we need to go into vertices select, and this might take a little bit of time, but we're going to go ahead and join it up here. So we need to select all these 4 vertices, and that's all we need to do actually, and just push F to make face. So it might take a little bit of time, but remember, people who do this for a living will spend hours and hours on a shield like this, right? And to be to not I mean, when we do these tutorials, I want to make sure that you know how much work it actually takes to make all the stuff you see, in the movie theater, or, as a new AAA game. Like, there's a reason why they cost a lot of money. Is, first of all, people who know how to do this stuff can actually demand a premium for their services, especially if you're reliable. As an employer, I always like to make sure that people are reliable. It's like almost the number one thing you need to know how to do. But anyway, if you're reliable and you know how to do this stuff, you can actually demand quite a bit of price for your services. And having said that, imagine 300 highly trained individuals working on a game. Well, that equals a lot of money. And believe me, games are not cheap to make. You can make them yourself and make quite a bit of money with an indie game. But if you want to make a AAA game, it's a little bit more money and time. So, as you can see here, there is a way I mean, usually when it comes to development, I like to take the tried, tested, and true way of doing this here. And I know it seems boring, but sometimes you might spend more time trying to figure out a solution to the problem. So let's say, you're trying to figure out how can I do this quickly, and you'll spend more time than it would take you to actually do this here. Now, let's go ahead, and we're almost done this here. And I think it's only one more. Is that it? Now let's just take a quick look, and there we go. So we've attached this here. Now, there's a couple of things about this that, we have to talk about. If you go back to the beginning of the tutorial, that was a really easy way to get this same effect. This one's a little bit harder. Now, in a mobile device, this here, the sphere, is a lot of wasted vertices. Okay, although it looks cool, you can see just if I zoom out, the black here is a lot more intense than the black here, and of course the black lines are vertices, and the more vertices you have in terms of a game environment, or just any kind of environment, are not necessarily that good. All right, so here we go. We've added that little bump here. It looks kind of cool, and we're going to end this tutorial here. In the next tutorial, we'll try and we'll talk a bit more about what to do. I'll see you guys then.